Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager, episode number 91. We're nearing the end of the season, and here's kind of the plan on the remainder of the season. I may yet have a couple episodes with more than one race. I'm actually looking to try to wrap things up. I'm altering my vision on how I kind of want the channel to run. Instead of lots of series with 2 or maybe 3 episodes a week, I'm going to try to narrow that window down to just 2 or a maximum of like 3 series at a time and more episodes committed on a regular basis, which would push through a series a bit more quickly, and I would think most audience members would be happy with that. The plan would still be to have a series, get to like 90 plus episodes or 150 episodes with Pro Cycling Manager, same sort of length, not spread over a whole year, a little more compact. I definitely want to do that with F1 Manager 24 when that releases, with bringing you more of a 4 or 5 episodes a week type scenario. But to get myself into that scenario, I have to wrap up a number of series that exist right now to bring that window down to where I just have 2 or 3 active. So I'm really looking to make this the next one. I've already wrapped up like 4 series in the last about week and a half. This is the next one to try to go. I also have vacation coming up in like a week. So I think this one's going to bleed over into coming back from the vacation and then wrapping it up real quick so that I can move on. Beginning with one of our final driver development updates that we're going to get, Bernadette Brunn up first. +1 to braking, +1 to smoothness, +1 to defending, +1 to reactions, +1 to accuracy. Good distribution of points. They're all good, except I'd say defending is already where you want it or need it to be. It doesn't need more. We would have liked to have had that point in overtaking or in smoothness or certainly in control or an additional accuracy point. But that's still a good level up for her. She's getting better and better all the time. As for Tanaka, +1 to control, +1 to overtaking, and +2 to reactions. Now, her big weakness on raw pace is cornering, and it has not been given a boost. Her other big weakness is smoothness and or accuracy. They have not been given boosts, but overtaking helps her go forward. Control helps her make less mistakes, and +2 to reactions really takes care of the issue. Her braking and reactions are now to the point where it's like, hey, she's competitive with those. It's not 90s, but it's certainly competitive. She'll start to get the most out of the car, except for in cornering. Flourish, her days of progressing much are definitely over. She's nearly maxed out. She does get +2, and both to braking. It is pace related. I'll take it, but obviously she needs that reactions so bad. Not that it matters, but with Anna Barnard retiring and 0 sporting directors that are female besides her, I've managed to poach away McLaren's sporting director, who's a pretty good one. Barnard is an 89 overall. Permain is a 94. Now, Barnard has a 100 in training. So we are a few points below that. We would be taking a little bit of a drop initially, but the aptitude is almost identical, just 1 point apart. Processes is actually about 4 points ahead for Permain, and the big difference that has him +5 in overall is that he actually already has a lot of leadership, and it's an 89. That's the one area where Barnard, we didn't train it at all. Right, we've got 3 excellent scores for her, which he has the same 3 excellent scores, but he also has leadership. He was looking to retire at the end of the contract. He's 64 now. We got him signed up for a 3-year deal, so the team would be in really good shape for the next 3 years. Now, of course, if I had continued on, if I were playing beyond this season, I would every year be checking, scouting, looking for a new female sporting director.
Welcome to the United States Grand Prix. The Circuit of the Americas is known for its bumpy surface, and with around 133 feet of elevation changes, starting with the uphill climb to turn 1, the Big Red, it's an all-round challenge for cars and drivers. The grid is all set here in Texas for the 19 laps of today's sprint.
Always a popular event with the audiences in Austin. We're hoping to see drivers dueling it out around the circuit of the Americas.
Forget the scheduled pit stops today. It's all about racing. Things are hotting up here in Texas for the sprint. And it's lights out, and away we go.
All right, we are racing into the sprint. Tanaka made it with a phenomenal qualifying that saw her easily make the second qualifying session and then fall back down to earth in that session where she was well off the pace of the 14 ahead of her. The one-off lap, though, was obviously good enough to see her get into that session and get a good starting position here. We'll see if it translates it to anything. My prediction is she's going to actually be in 20th place by the end of this sprint. Good news is by lap 3, when everybody else starts to back off pace and settle in a little bit, we're still holding that 15th and Florsch is last. Out of DRS range by the end of lap 3 as we begin lap 4, instantly turns into an overtake for Sargent. Also, Florsch is already 2.5 seconds down on Hadjiar. And so as we go down the back stretch on that very next lap, we are out of DRS range and Drugovich goes right on by. We do not have the pace of the others. Everyone has opted for the mediums here, so there's no advantage or disadvantage. Just the worrying trend that we are off pace. By lap 6, Tanaka has already been overtaken, falling out of DRS range, having somebody behind her using DRS to easily overtake her. And you can see how we are right there to the back at now 19th and 20th. Now, the only question is, will Florsch catch and overtake Tanaka, as I predicted would happen? Because from practice to the other qualifying sessions, Tanaka never had that sort of pace in her. She had it for one lap somewhere. She pulled it out, and she's not replicating it here. The only thing, though, is she is at least maintaining the gap to Florsch for the time being at 2 seconds with 10 laps to go. Oh, multiple cars have crashed.
There's a yellow flag now.
And we've actually caught up, maybe, to the back end of these guys.
There's the car of Piastri. Dangerously close to each other. Oh, and the cars there, unable to keep out of each other's way.
They both get going again.
I'm sure.
Definitely helps us. That backed up a lot of cars. Brought us back into play a little bit. Fuel is right once again. Tanaka's still ahead of Florsch. Piastri has rejoined behind us. We are ahead of Piastri, and we are close. Less than a second behind Hadjiar. And Albin has picked up a penalty, which is all over the back of Tanaka too, so we did get backed up. He peels off into the pits, as does Piastri. 17th and 18th is now in the cards, but Florsch has now caught Tanaka, and I think it's only a matter of time until she overtakes her. Side by side they race. Luckily they have not taken each other out, but whoever has DRS here is going to have a pretty significant advantage, and it's Tanaka. Tanaka gets the DRS, and that pulls her back ahead of Florsch. 24 seconds ahead of Albin. They never should have any sort of chance to actually catch us, but Albin and Piastri got the worst of the accident, but both end up pitting. Albin picks up the penalty. It ends up bringing the two of them right back together so they can battle some more just at the back of the grid. They're gaining on us pretty quickly. They've picked up 1 second in less than a lap, but they've got 7 laps. They're not going to gain that much ground in that time. There goes Florsch on by. Can she complete the overtake this time as they continue to battle side by side? It's good to see them at least racing in a healthy manner. But so much for being caught up to the cars ahead. It's now 3.5 seconds. Florsch finally goes through cleanly and is up to P17. The gap to Albin is down to 20 seconds. But at a second a lap. Final lap begins with the front 8 neck and neck, but pulling away well away from 9th on down. But then big gaps to 10th and to 11th before you then bring up everybody else besides us and the 2 that crashed. Still 16 seconds ahead of Albin, so we're fine there. Tanaka at 30%. We've had to back off a little bit so she makes it. We can go standard now. She should not puncture with half a lap to go. And 17th and 18th is all we were good for today, but at least it wasn't last. The prediction of Tanaka going to the back, though, including Florsch overtaking her, proved true, and she ended up a couple seconds behind her teammate.
We're not far off now here in Austin as the drivers ready themselves for this 56-lap race. Could this be a big race for that man, Alexander Albon?
I don't think there'll be many expecting them to mount a challenge from P19, but I wouldn't discount their chances.
So let's see what today has in store, shall we? Sit tight and get ready. It's the United States Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Way to go, Frontier. Let's showcase the guy who got a penalty last time out and crashed into somebody and ended up finishing 19th in the race and starts this race proper from P19. Woo! I get it if you feature us because, you know, Tanaka crashed.
And here
Turn
we've
1.
got a yellow flag. So let's take a look at the replay.
With Albin.
And the contact between the cars, inevitable. Now their confidence will have taken a hit with that.
Can't really see what happened there. Minor front wing damage, ignore. Definitely not pitting yet. But driver confidence is 0. She's on her own. She did take about a 5% hit with the skid there. No penalties given. Albin was on the outside. The way we diverted to the inside, it looks like it might have been Albin turning in and making the contact, but I don't know. That's a guess. Hopeful, wishful thinking. Sargent with a lockup drops back to essentially last, other than Tanaka fits into that gap between Tanaka and the rest of the field. Tanaka just a second and a half behind Sargent, actually. Yeah, that moves Florsch up to 16th, following Hadjiar right now. As we begin lap number 3, we are just barely inside that DRS range, so we are going to have to continue to push on a little bit longer to use the DRS to close up on Hadjiar. And that seems to be working already. Let's drop to standard. Oh yeah, we're definitely caught up. Hadjiar falls out of DRS range, but gets it anyway. Was within a second at the detection zone, but is out of range now. This might be an easy overtake here momentarily. So let's go. Instantly move to the inside, move up the inside. We don't even get an animation. We don't even get an animation. The car just comes to a dead stop.
Oh, that's quite an impact between them. A bitter blow too for more than one driver from the pack.
Great,
There's been
both drivers.
quite a crash.
Both drivers. Now 8 seconds behind anybody else. 15th. Hadjiar still right there with us. Hadjiar picks up the penalty, and that's correct. Hadjiar was a little bit ahead of us, but Hadjiar turns in on us, and Hadjiar was not, as he goes around, Hadjar was not entitled to the inside line. The only reason why he was ahead was the braking. Flourish was side by side and a little ahead in the braking zone, but Hadjar tried to brake a little bit later, turns in, and makes contact. But Flourish, with some wing damage, seems to be a bit off pace, as we've already been overtaken twice now. Piastri has gone by. We're also down to 83%. Looks like we're okay there. But with that damage, seems that our day is going to be a rough one, because now both of our drivers have minor damage, and you can see just how much time Flourish has lost. Half a lap, she's gone from overtaken to twice over out of DRS range, and overtaken again at the very next sector. Sargent now the only one left, who has actually pulled Tanaka back up, so we've lucked out on that part. But overtake on the outside of Albin, and we're back up to 17th. We're back to a few seconds behind Hadjar, carrying the penalty, so virtually ahead there, but seems to also be going backwards. Couple laps later, what we're seeing is Tanaka is easily following Sargent, but Sargent lost the wheel of Flourish. Flourish is easily following Albin, but neither one, even with all that DRS, has been capable of overtaking either of them, and so they continue to stay put behind. I would all imagine that the confidence is very bad for both, but actually for Tanaka, it's back up to medium. Not that far off from where it started, and she actually just got around Sargent, and is just 1 second behind Flourish. Dragovic and Sargent both into the pits here on lap 14. Yellow flag. Flourish involved again. Albin, just a little touch there on the exit of turn 1. It looks like it was the exit.
Cutting it so close.
Yeah, just a little touch of wheels. His left rear touching our right front. This a little bit on Flourish's side, I'd say, for the blame. Borderline forcing him off. She was recovering confidence, but that's gonna certainly hurt that one. Dragovic, who pit, by the way, came out right behind us. Touch of wheels, no penalty given. Tends to be how they handle those, and we get side by side again. Tanaka hits pit road from P15, but those behind her have already pit. It's a decent stop, 2.52. I have not changed the wing on Tanaka. I am going to take the risk and change the wing on Flourish. I don't know if it's going to help, unless I really see. The two drivers, Flourish and Tanaka, were neck and neck. They were side by side right there, same place, same location, running the same way. I do have different compounds, but at the end of the day, we'll see what is better. Is changing the wing going to give us that much more pace, or is the 7 or so seconds that we're going to lose from changing the wing more costly? Tanaka was P15 and Flourish was ahead of her before Tanaka's pit, but Flourish is going to enter the pits at P16 as they swap out that wing. 8.5 seconds for the stop, so 6 additional seconds to change out the wing. But how much time will we gain? Well, the first notable thing is we are definitely about 6 seconds behind Tanaka now. So Tanaka's outlapped. She had made up some ground. She had caught up to Flourish, and they were essentially at the exact same spot, entry and exit. They are on different compounds now, and we've got one with a restored wing and still very low confidence from a second incident. And then we have Tanaka, who's up to medium confidence and seems to be stable there. Personal best, sector 3 there. Nice, that should help. Tanaka should be faster than Flourish right now, and does appear to be. She's gone from 4 seconds ahead to already over 6. Right now, it's not looking good for either of our drivers. Hadjar pits a bit later, and Hadjar comes out right in front of her. So she's still just P18. Albin's caught and overtaken her now, so the AlphaTauris have squeezed her out and then tried to accelerate. There is Sargent, and that's who we're battling today. Meanwhile, Florsch is 8.5 seconds behind.
There's been a crash.
Another crash, this time Magnussen up the inside of the Alfa Romeo. Same corner. Looking at what we have, surprisingly a lot of cars on the softs, which I didn't expect to see at all today. And just a few drivers on the hards. Not much more on the mediums. So strategies are all over the place right now. Are we looking at a 4-stopper? Take that back. 4 compounds over the day. Are we looking at a 3-stopper for those on the softs? They degrade so fast here. They're only good for 6 or 7 laps. The gap from Florsch to Tanaka is stabilized now. Tanaka down to 56% on the mediums is getting less pace, and Florsch is already starting to claw back some time, now just 7 seconds behind her.
Now this was at turn
Another
1.
crash again at turn 1. Russell and the Red Bull.
And they'll have to pick
And
themselves
this is
up
another
after
case of a Red Bull turning in too early, similar to
that.
what
And
we
you can
had.
just feel the
And Verstappen does get the justified penalty on that one. It's only 8th place. And Russell's 7th, so he's dropped back from him. He did lose some time there, but they are not running at the front. That is not a podium fight. His teammate, Red Bull teammate, Ocon, is at the front of the field with Norris having just gone around him. And while we are running in 19th and 20th, we're not totally out of it. Albin, Sargent, not too far away. But Dragovic, Hadjar, Piastri, a little bit further up there. Albin pits again, lap 31. That's pretty early. We are close to a Tanaka pit, so we're going to push on. Just 5.5 seconds between Florsch and Tanaka now. Magnussen, who just pit, comes out, and Tanaka immediately goes around. Tanaka down pit road. She enters pit road 6 seconds ahead of Florsch. The pit stop before had a 4-second gap by time. Remember, we changed that wing. So Florsch lost just 2 seconds on the hards. But she's not done with her stint on the hards. She's still got a ways to go yet. And Tanaka, who is now on a fresh compound, does have a chance to alter that gap a little bit, close up on Florsch a bit more. We'll see if that changes any further. But Tanaka is now on hards till the end of the race. Florsch will be on mediums, and we expect her to be faster. 7 laps later, Florsch now into the pits. Both had clean air throughout their time here over these 7 laps, so neither one held up by anybody else. 2.276. Fantastic stop there. First time for Florsch in such a long time that she's managed to have a good pit stop, and that's going to bring her out in, last place. But where? 8.5 seconds behind Tanaka. So Tanaka on the brand new hards versus Florsch on the used hards. Tanaka was a little bit faster, but only by a little bit, right? We went from a 4-second gap to 6. Now we've gone from 6 to 8.5. And we're a lap down. Crap on that part. We are a lap down. That is the leader of the race. That is Norris. And Norris, 42% used hards, may pit pretty soon here. We do get DRS, but an overtake is difficult because once you make the overtake, you are likely to get blue flagged again shortly thereafter. So I think the best thing to do right now is conserve fuel. And just stay close. Use the DRS. Follow the leader's pace. But this is that first time where we are not in clean air, and it's definitely going to impact things. We might have a lot more pace than Norris, but what is our pace compared to Tanaka? Well, we're actually closing up on her, even though we are not pushing. Oof, Tanaka with a lockup. Definitely used up some tire life, I'm sure.
It was the Williams driver we see there.
Turn 1.
All good at this point.
They've each had 2 mistakes now today, or 2 incidents today. Big lockup there. That was pretty nasty. We'll see here in the lap just how bad that was. Confidence, not nothing, it's just low. That helps. Meanwhile, Florish is still all over the back of Norris. And we're just 3.5 seconds behind Tanaka. I think it was pretty clear that Florish has a chance to beat Tanaka based on how things were going, and I don't think Norris has much to do with that. No, in fact, I think Norris is holding us back, if anything, but it's helping us prolong the tire life here and recover the fuel a little bit faster. At some point here, we're going to have to probably try to go around and ditch Norris and get out of that blue flag range and push on. And getting close to Tanaka is probably the best time to do that, because we can get DRS, overtake, and then get DRS again to help extend that gap. Oh no! Man, Ocon just came up out of nowhere. That was a 4-second advantage less than a lap ago. And we really took our foot off the gas and let Ocon get a healthy advantage there. Like, we didn't just tuck in behind. We went about 30 seconds behind him. Not quite that far. But, 29.8? 2 seconds back? It's hard to tell. We're a lap down. We don't have a proper interval there, but we're only 4 seconds behind Tanaka. And Tanaka, well, Tanaka is right there. So, yeah. Yeah, looks like a bit of a gap. Ocon went right around Norris and immediately drove away. It's more than 1 second. And there is Tanaka. The only 2 cars a lap down. Yay, that's us. We're special. Do not fight your teammate. Florish gets DRS. Tanaka does not. That's going to leave Tanaka behind a little bit. Oh, and then Tanaka spins. Hooray! More problems.
And here we've got a yellow flag.
Can I tell her to retire the car?
What happened. So here we go, heading into turn
before she
1.
destroys it.
And then the car just goes.
That's just a very low confidence mistake. That's all that was. And now she's at 50%. I just tell her to pit before the end. Put on some softs and see what sort of pace she can muster. Done that before. Florish, 16 seconds and closing on those ahead. We're a pit stop. No. Wow, she ended up a lot further behind than I thought she was. Right? We were paying so much attention to what was her gap to Tanaka. Remember, she did lose like 4 seconds getting lapped. So she would only be 11 behind Albon. But I don't remember her being this far down. We were paying so much attention to what was going on with Tanaka, and that was that. Okay, feels good. It's got the fastest lap. It is now 12 seconds ahead of Sainz, but Norris pit. So Norris ended up getting out of the way. So Norris just held us up all that time for no real purpose. We're now just 13 seconds behind. Coming on pretty fast. We definitely do have the clean air now. When Ocon comes up on Albon, I'd love to see Albon lose 4 seconds, but knowing our luck, Albon will lose like half a second. The AI will know how to be blue flagged and overtaken properly, but not our drivers, not that AI. We're gonna do something. It's gotta happen. It's gotta happen soon. 11.7. We're not gonna beat anybody else. Hadjar is all the way up in 12th. The two Haas drivers, 11th and 13th. Dang. Sargent's had a bad day. He's made multiple mistakes. Maloney hasn't made any mistakes, and he's all the way down in 17th. Joe in 10th. But it's your usual suspects in the top 9. Joe's the other driver that's a 90 plus. In fact, I believe right now, top 10. It's all the drivers that have a 90 rating. Held the gap to them pretty well. We're down to 63% now, though. We're at 3 laps to go. I should have just pit Tanaka right there. Yeah, 36%. Let's have her pit this lap. Which this adds fatigue to our pit crew, so it's probably a bad idea. Probably a very bad idea. You know what? Let's not add fatigue to our pit crew. I got enough going on. She is where she is. She's 20th. Let it be. So let's not push. Flor's just 6 seconds behind Albin now. And 24 ahead of Tanaka. Like, the overtake wasn't that long ago. Excluding the mistakes, which she's had a couple. 10 seconds at most was lost from those directly. But of course it made her tire situation worse, which has made her lap times worse. But 26 seconds ahead. So Florsch, like, it has worked out. The idea of replacing the wing does seem to have been a stronger strategy. Florsch has, when Tanaka was on the mediums, she was barely faster than Florsch. Final lap. I'm not gonna wait. No, I am gonna waste the engine. It's the last time we're gonna use it. Deploy. Attack. How's that gap looking? 3.8 from such a huge gap. And is there a blue flag to help us out? 2.9. Which one are we coming at? Is that Albin? Or is that Ocon? It's Ocon. It's Ocon. Can we get back on the lead lap and give ourselves one more lap to go? Go. Crash into the leader. No. Ah! 1.8 behind Albin. Right there from unlapping herself. That close. Are you kidding me? And instead we finish as the only 2 cars a lap down. Like, that sounds a lot worse. Sounds a lot worse on paper than what happened there. Like how close we were to coming from way behind and catching Albin and overtaking Albin, from catching the leader and overtaking them. And yes, Ocon caught us and overtook us and drove away. But that was a Norris situation, right? We were right in the back of Norris, conserving the fuel, conserving the tires, and then all of a sudden Ocon was 4 seconds behind. Like, I was preparing to make the push to leave Norris behind, and then all of a sudden Ocon's there and we back off and lose a ton of time. If we don't lose that time, right? If we don't ever deal with Norris, we easily beat Albin, because 4 seconds, right? 1.7. Add the mistakes, add the wreck. That was with Albin, wasn't it? Subtract those. Where are we? Still 18th. Right. I think Florsch lost probably 10 seconds here, there, somewhere. Maybe more. Maybe 15. No matter what happens, we're still at the back of the grid. And that has been the problem. That has been the problem with how F1 Manager 23 handles
dreadful day it's
development.
ended up being
Top
for the
10,
Williams driver.
all 90s plus
You know, I don't
drivers.
think many would have expected
And a
to
78
see them
driver.
finishing outside the top 10. They'll be aiming
F1
much
Manager
higher
22.
than that, I assure you.
I took a 79 driver to win the
There's the
championship.
Frenchman, Esteban
It's
Ocon,
just,
taking to the podium.
and it's not her
And another
adaptability
added
rating.
to his
I mean, it's a factor. She does not have great reactions. She's good in other areas, but does not have the great reactions. But it's more. It's more than that. What I don't know, the unknown, is what is F1 Manager 24 going to be like? How will they have changed the development? Because it is. I've already heard that it's going to be development. I know the pool's much larger. I know that the F1 Academy drivers are going to be in there. Abby Poling. There's going to be options for female drivers. Bianca Bustamante, who actually doesn't look like the greatest of drivers, but she's actually made a lot of improvement from a year ago to where she is now. There is absolutely, without a doubt, female options, and not just one, right? Florsch is still there, but there's a whole bunch of real life female drivers that we can go after if I want to do this series again. What I don't know is what the development's going to be like. Is it going to have the same issues that it has now? That it becomes top heavy, that just a handful of drivers are going to be impossible to beat. But regulations are a big thing, right? A huge regulation change would open it up. But 10 drivers, 90 plus, is just impossible. When it was 2 or 3 drivers, 90 plus, with F1 Manager 22, we did it. We dominated. The AI was a little different than it was for 23. I would imagine that 24 is going to have a similar AI to what we have for 23. It's going to be tough to win races, a lot tougher than it was in 22, especially the rain ones. We really dominated those rain ones. They improved the AI, which made the game more difficult. 4 races left. 4 episodes? 3? We'll find out. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Do you want to see me continue with the all-female challenge in F1 Manager 24? Well, not continue. To go for it again? Or do we just take the worst creative team possible, but open up world's your oyster, sign the best guys eventually, develop the best car, develop the facilities eventually, and we know eventually that would be winning championships? Or do we take the long route again, female only, limit the pool, makes it significantly tougher? I think we could be looking at the same scenario as what we've had this year, and I have had fun with it, but we've never gotten up to being the winning team. Which do you prefer? Let me know in the comments below. I'm a Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.